episode is episode 6, and it is called Redefining a Bad Bitch. So this is my little bad bitch energy that I have going with my leather coat and my chains. And I am actually wearing my swimsuit under because I do want to show you guys my tattoos, because that has a lot to do with how I became a bad bitch. And so first of all, let's talk about the word bitch. I know usually it's supposed to be used as a word that is discriminatory and derogatory towards women, but I love how probably within the past decades or so, we have taken ownership of that word. We have made that word our own, and we use it to describe each other completely different. And I mean, obviously, it does depend on the context that you're using it in, on how it's supposed to be taken or perceived. But usually when you're saying it, it's more like, that's my bitch, that's my girl, that's my, friend.
That my best friend. She a real bad bitch, got her own money. She don't need no nigga on a
Or damn, look at her, like she's bad. But that's what we're redefining. What is a bad bitch? And in this day and age, most people are going to describe a bad bitch based off the way that they look and how they present themselves through fashion or style, things like that. And when it can be, I don't want that to be the only thing that defines a woman as being a bad bitch, just based off solely her looks. It should also be with how she presents herself, her energy, her aura, her aesthetic, her confidence, being independent, her resilience. To me, that's what it is to be a bad bitch. And so you can also say that being a bad bitch is very similar to being a boss bitch, which means you take control into your own hands and you do what you gotta do. And to me, it's similar, but it's also different, because being a bad bitch, to me, and how I perceive it and how I like to present myself as that, is one to not be
Listen, I am not to be fucked with.
Like, I want men to be a little fearful of me. I want them to think twice before speaking to me in any type of way. Like, oh, I don't know about her. Like, I would never talk to her like that. I would never touch her without asking.
Oh, that's not cool. Don't touch my phone. Michael, that's not cool, man.
Or somebody that you would not be kidnapped easily or targeted easily because they're like, oh, she looks like a fighter. I'm afraid of her. I don't think I'm going to mess with her. I think I better leave her alone. And to me, that's what it is. To be a bad bitch is one to not be fucked with. And like I said, it's on how you present yourself, how you walk into a room, how you demand attention, but you also demand to not be approached. Somebody that looks unapproachable, like, oh yeah, no, I would never. But then there's some that are super confident and have that big dick energy that they gravitate towards you because of that, because they like it. And that's the best kind of people. And those are the ones that you want, that love you because you're a bad bitch. And like I said, not just because it's the way you look, it's the way you present yourself. I believe that independence and masculinity is actually very, very sexy. And to me, that's what is defined as being a bad bitch. A bitch that can take care of herself, do whatever she has to do to survive, and can be sexy wearing masculine things like leather coats and combat boots. And obviously people, mostly men, perceive bad bitches as slinky dresses, showing everything off, perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect nails, the expensive shoes, name brand purses, all that stuff. But that's not the only part of it. Now, if that girl that has all those things, that's wearing all those things, she purchased all those things on her own, then to me, that's a bad bitch. If she's having other men doing that for her, I'm sorry, but it's not. I mean, it's nice to get gifts. It's nice to receive things from men just because of the way you look, which is called pretty girl privilege. And we'll get more into that on my next episode. But to me, that's not being a bad bitch. To me, being a bad bitch is getting shit on your own. Like I like to say on my last episode, on my Ariana Grande 7 ring shit.
My hair, she thinks, just bought it. I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it.
I got it, I want it, I got it. And I'm the one getting it for myself, nobody else. And so that's what the definition is to me, is independence, security, taking care of yourself, all those kind of things. And like I said before, it's your aura, your aesthetic. When you walk into a room, you demand to be seen. You walk into that room with your chin up, maybe your tits out even. If you have, and if you don't have them, you know, you still stick that chest out, girl, because you gotta demand that attention. And once you walk into the room and everybody turns to look at you, you know that you're doing it right. And I know usually when I used to go out, I don't go out anymore really, unless I'm on vacation, you know, unless it's a special event or something like that. But I was the kind of girl that if I wanted something and if it was within my physical distance of being able to reach you, I was going to get it. And the way that I would do it, with my little tricks, was it would be in a very, very crowded place. I'd make sure there was almost no space between us, because it would be awkward if there was too much space brushing up against them like that. And so I would brush my chest against their back, and that would just, you know, automatically kind of make them turn like, oh, what was that? I felt that. Who is that? I want to see. And so when they turn, I would lock into their eyes, make eye contact, and brush their chest ever so lightly and say, excuse me. And then I would just go walk past them, and then they would just come running. They would chase me. They would run out of the club to find me through the crowd, because I guess people sometimes like to call me Medusa, but not in the destroying type manner. Like they don't turn into stone, but you know, they do, I guess, get into some kind of trance when I look them in the eyes. And so being a bad bitch is also all about eye contact. And that's how you'll know, and that's how you'll kind of weed out the weak men, is because they will refuse to make eye contact with you. They'll try, but once it gets a little too heavy, then they're automatically looking everywhere else but your eyes. They're afraid. And so one of my coworkers described me when we would talk, you know, just about work things. He just out of nowhere, I don't know what made him say it, but it was so conveniently, I can't say it. So conveniently, there we go, near Halloween, that it was the perfect conversation, because we were just having normal conversation about work, and I noticed that he never made eye contact with me. And that day he tried, and he automatically said, I'm so sorry, Janelle. I don't know why I cannot make eye contact with you. You scare me. Your eyes are like beautiful, but yet terrifying. I don't know if I'm gonna turn into stone or you're gonna steal my soul. You're like Medusa. So as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I know what I'm being for Halloween. And that's exactly what I did. Because I never thought about that. I never knew. That's why a lot of people didn't make eye contact with me. I just thought a lot of people were timid or intimidated by a woman that would have heavy eye contact. Because I'm not gonna lie, there has been a few times where I have looked into a man's eyes and I felt some type of way, like it was dangerous, but it excited me. And I think that's kind of the experience that most people have. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's my aura, it's my energy, it's what I'm putting out. And that's what's either going to make them gravitate towards me and be intrigued by me, or it's going to make them run. And I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. I love to terrify men. It literally makes me feel good about myself. And it makes me feel like the bad bitch that I was born to be. And so how I became this was definitely not overnight. I was not, the most secure or confident girl growing up. Believe it or not, I used to actually very, very skinny. I had no curves at all. I didn't get my gifts, which I did homegrown them. They are 100% organic, but I didn't get them until my second semester, my freshman year. And even when I got them, it didn't look right. I was still a twig and I just had a large chest. And so people assumed that they were faked because they did not match my body. And what's so sad and horrible about it, I call them gifts, but they were also kind of a curse because they are kind of what caused me to kind of slouch, try to hide them. I would only wear sports bras. I wouldn't wear bras that would, show how big they are. I would wear loose shirts because these boys didn't know how to handle it. They would literally sexually harass me verbally. And it was embarrassing. I did not like it. That was the attention that I did not like.
Come on.
Because it was a disrespectful attention. It did not make me feel good. It made me feel dirty. It made me feel shameful. Even though I was proud of them, I couldn't show them because of that. Because these little boys did not know how to act. They be acting up, acting a fool. And I don't think it was probably until I was in college or even probably in my late 20s, early 30s, where I was 100% confident and I got this beautiful gift. I am going to show it to the world. And
What? Making your tits smaller? That's like slapping God across the face for giving you a gorgeous gift.
the way they act is on them, and it's not going to affect me at all. Because at this point, I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm not a timid little teenage girl. And after having my son, I ended up getting the curves to match them. So they looked a little more natural. And I feel like being a natural woman is also part of being a bad bitch. And I'm going to talk about that a lot in my next episode, which is called Toxic Standards. But that doesn't mean you can't be. If it's how you feel, it's how you present yourself. And if in order for you to feel confident, sexy, and secure, if that means you have to, get plastic surgery, do the lip fillers, do the Botox, get the fake everything, then that's fine. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about you and how you feel and nobody else. And if they judge you, then what is that to say about them? That just means they're insecure with themselves. So I would never be a woman to put another woman down because they choose not to live the kind of life that I do. And I have fake things too. My eyelashes are falling out right now, but they did have extensions in. And sometimes I get the big, giant, gaudy ones that look like I'm gonna blow somebody away. Depends on my mood. If I want to feel dramatic and theatrical, or if I want to look a little natural, or if I don't want to wear any makeup at all because my lashes make it look like I have makeup on. I did try the fake nails for a little bit, but unfortunately, it is very hard to take contacts out with them. I don't know how women do it, especially with the long stilettos or like the sharp edges, because I had the almonds. And I just could not take my contacts out. It was so frustrating and annoying. And so I ended up just chopping them off, taking them off, and back to my natural nails. But I wish I could rock them because I like them. I love them. They made me feel confident and sexy. But I gotta stick to my little stubs now because of my eyeballs. And so you just kind of go with what you're dealt with. Also, I am afraid that if I was to do any work to myself, I would end up on botched.
What the?
I think that's what kind of keeps me from it, just because I do not have the best of luck when it comes to things like that. And people appreciate and respect my natural beauty. And so obviously, even being around people can affect your aura and your confidence and how you present yourself. If you're around good, positive people that are complimenting you and reassuring you of everything that you are, who you are, then that's all you need. If you have people that are putting you down for no reason, then it could affect you. It will sometimes eat at you, no matter how confident and secure you are. If you're constantly hearing all this negativity, people pointing out your flaws and talking about them, it affects you. I'm not gonna lie, there has been times where I have been embarrassed of my 5 head, and
I said I want something big. I want something that says I'm here. Beyonce.
sometimes, because I don't want people to focus on that. I want them to focus about what I'm saying. There's sometimes I hide them because I want to look professional and be taken seriously. And so it's just how you present yourself, what you feel comfortable with. And that's the only thing that you can do. And you got to learn how to love yourself. It definitely doesn't happen overnight. Honestly, I know it sounds super sad, but I think the least confident I ever was when I was in relationships, was when I was married, because I was constantly comparing myself to other women, like especially when they would make it very known that they were attracted or looking at this other woman. It made me question myself, like, well, what's so great about her? What is it that she has that I don't? And I hated that. And they would comment on my weight. Oh, maybe you should maybe we should start going to the gym. Maybe we should start eating healthy. And I'm glad that they made it not just me about him too, but like, why? I like my curves. I like being thick. I don't want to be the skinny teenage girl that I was anymore. I want to be a voluptuous woman. And so when I did end up losing all the weight that I did when I had my son, all my curves were gone, except these girls. They never go anywhere. They will always be with me. And I'm blessed for that. But my thighs, my booty, everything was gone. I was a stick figure with just, a nice chest again. And I didn't like it. I didn't feel womanly. That did not make me feel confident. Yeah, I could wear crop tops and bikinis, but I wanted to be thick. And unfortunately, we don't get to choose all the time what we want our body to look like. And I'm going to address that more. I'm going to get in more detail in the next episode called Toxic Standards. So I don't want to talk about it too much and give too much away. But what I'm trying to say is I was not a bad bitch born overnight. And I think the most secure that I ever have been in my life has been now being single for 10 years. Not having anybody comparing me to anybody else, because I am one in a million. Not even, there's literally not one person on this earth that is like me. And I make that known and I take ownership of that. And I want people to know that and accept that and realize that. And unfortunately, they never do until they have no access to me anymore. But that's their loss and my gain. And so once I became single, I had met this guy at my gym that I always, kind of had my eye on. He was my gym crush. And so I had no ties, no obligations. I was free to talk to whoever I wanted. And so I don't know what, but I got some cojones. And I started off very, friendly, not flirty too much. And I had seen him helping other people work out. And so I was like, oh, are you a physical trainer? Because I would really love for you to help me. He's like, I'm not, but I can still help you. And so he did. He helped me target the areas that I need. Obviously, over time, it got flirtatious. We started spending time together. We got ourselves in a little situationship that didn't end on the best of terms because I was just, I was scared. I was afraid. I was a coward. It was too soon for me. It was literally maybe a couple months after I had my husband move out. So I did not know what I wanted yet. And it was unfair to him to, take him on that with me. But I do believe he served his purpose 100% and that he helped me regain my confidence back. He made me realize that I can get whoever I want if I had the confidence to, talk to them and make a move. And I feel like he needed me at the same time because he was kind of going through the same thing and his confidence wasn't at the highest. And we are both very attractive people that we should never let anybody affect our confidence and who we are and how we're seen and how we view ourselves. And so we needed each other. That was a time in our life that was just meant. And unfortunately it didn't end great, but I realized what I did. I took ownership and accountability of my mistakes on how I treated him, how I talked to him, and I apologized to him. And after that, we were great friends and we still are. And so I'm just so blessed and grateful that he was willing to forgive me and realize that I was just not in a good place at that time and that I am a different person. And so now I think we have a very great relationship. And so I feel like people that you meet, people that cross your path, people that come into your lives, like I said last time, as a lesson or a blessing, he was definitely a blessing. And I kind of messed it up, but I fixed it. And so even when you do the wrong things, you can still fix things, and they don't have to forgive you though, but it's good to at least get it off your chest, put it out there so it's not weighing on you. And so he helped me gain my confidence back. Obviously, I was probably around 30. So to me, I thought I was old. I thought I was getting old. I didn't like it. But when I would go out, all these young boys would all try to hit on me, not believing my age. One of them was like, "You're lying. Show me your ID." And I showed him my ID and he's like, "This is a fake ID." I was like, why would I pretend to be 30? Nobody wants to be 30. But it made them more attracted, more intrigued. And so doing that kind of put me in my cougar era. I just so happened to wear, some little print here. But my cougar era has been a lot of fun. I say, "Oh, they keep me young." And they do. And I would joke with them because they did not believe how old I was and how good I looked. And so it was just literally a joke. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, "Oh, so you know how I stay young, right?" And they're like, "How?" And I was like, "I steal your youth from you." And they kind of took it seriously. They were like, "Oh, so you're a witch." And they believed it. And I was like, thought it was funny and fun. So I kind of went with it. I kind of took ownership of that. I was like, "Yep, I'm a witch and I steal your youth." And that's how I look this young. And so when anybody comments on how good I look, even women, I joke with them and tell them the same thing. And they think it's hilarious. They love it. And some men, they still take the chance. But then after they're shook and they're like, "I think you're right. I think you aren't lying or joking. I think this is real." And what's so crazy is my sister and my friend Alethea 100% believe in manifestation. And so they think once I start saying these things, I'm speaking them into existence. So it's actually happening. I am low-key kind of stealing their youth and their souls. And then some people, we would talk while it's going down. And they were like, oh my God, like I've never been like this before. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to take it. It's kind of freaking me out. And so then I would start a new joke, which wasn't so great either. And I was like, oh, you know, it's because I'm the devil and now I own your soul. And they would believe it. They truly believe that I own their soul. I even had somebody call me one time and ask for their soul back. And I joked back like, oh honey, I'm sorry, but it's in the devil's hands now. I have no control. So I like to play with them. It's fun to me. It's entertaining. I like to scare men. It makes me happy. And so sometimes though, it gets very, very heavy. And this was the first and the only, I'm hoping the last and only time this will ever happen, because it didn't get so funny after one incident that happened. I had met this sweet little Southern boy from South Carolina, and he was working in New Mexico. We ended up meeting up for Labor Day weekend, and we're having fun, and I'm telling him all these same things. And we go to fall asleep, go to bed. He starts pacing the room. He starts breathing heavy. And I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, did you take anything? Like, you know, like, are you on drugs? Like, what is happening? Like, why aren't you able to go to bed? And so then my dumb ass thought, oh, let's make light of it and joke. And I'm like, oh, don't worry, baby. You'll be okay. That's just your soul leaving your body. That did not work. He freaked out even more, and I was like, fuck, like, oh, I don't know what to do. Do you want me to take you to the ER? Like, should we go to the hospital? So I literally took him to the hospital. We went to the ER at like, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, and they wanted to keep him, you know, do a bunch of tests. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go back to sleep, so call me when they release you. So I tried. I went to go back to sleep. He called me at like 7. They released him, and I was like, so did they find anything? And he's like, no. So I don't know. We both don't know what the fuck happened, but I think that I just got into his head a little too much, and he had an anxiety attack, and he never had one before. That was his first experience, so he didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I never been around somebody that had one like that, so I didn't know how to, you know, talk to him calmly and tell him to just breathe instead of feeding into his already thoughts that was causing it. So that was a crazy situation. So I try not to be like that too much, you know, because I don't want to experience that again. That was not a good time for anybody. It's just a crazy, insane story to tell. And what is even a little more crazy too is like when I do tell some people these stories, they're like, manifestation is real, Danelle. It's real. You think it's a joke, but it's not. And these guys are like, no, really. Like after I'm with you, it takes me 3 days to recover, and I am not joking. You're literally draining and taking my energy and youth and whatever it is that you do, you are doing it. And I'm like, yeah, no, I think that's just all in your head. I'm just getting to your head. So I don't know what it is, but it's wild. And if that's what's keeping my youth, I mean, I guess I'll take it. I want to stay looking young for as long as I can without having to get Botox or anything like that. And honestly, I think crow eyes are a little sexy, especially like even on men and women. It shows that you have a big smile and you're smiling a lot. And I think it's beautiful. So that's just me, but I'm okay if I don't ever age. I'll be all right. What's also funny is even my own child believes that I am a vampire or something of that sort, because we were watching Vampire Diaries. He was probably like 5 years old, and they open the curtains, they combust, you know, just get set on fire and turn into dust. And my son looks at me like dead serious and he's like, Mom, are you a vampire? And I was like, oh, you're silly, buddy. Vampires aren't real. He's like, no, I think you're a vampire because you hate light. You never have any lights on. Our house is always dark. You wear sunglasses at night. Like putting it all together. And I'm like, no, baby, mommy's eyes are just very sensitive to light. And then when he's older, like probably 10, I make him watch The Lost Boys, which is literally one of my favorite movies. I'm definitely an 80s girl. And so we're watching The Lost Boys, and he's like, ew, Mom, vampires are so cringe. You're not cringe. And I'm like, you're 10. You still think I'm a vampire? He's like, yeah, because you don't even age. And you know, kids tell the truth. So like, that made me feel good, especially my son, because he's always roasting me, talking mad shit on how old I am. But at least I don't look it. And he jokes, he's like, what are you, like 500 million years old? But you're a vampire, so that's why you look like that. So my child believes it. Then I like to tell that story sometimes to people, and I made the mistake of telling it to somebody that was from New Orleans. And you know, they 100% believe in that. They think those are real people that are vampires. So he's like, you are a vampire. You're a vampire. And he started freaking out, not to the extent of me taking him to the hospital, thank God, but he was very skeptical. And so, I don't know, to me, it's fun. I think it's fun and funny. Most people don't, but you know, that's just me. But I like it. I like being called bruja and diabla and medusa and a vampire, and even been called a praying mantis. And I was like, I mean, it does kind of go with the aesthetic and the whole vibe. And so because of people feeding my, I'd say, ego and like creating and helping me discover this new persona of myself, I decided to put it on my skin. My very first tattoo. So I am wearing a bathing suit because I wanted to show you guys my tattoos, but still keep it a little classy, you know? And so this is what people would see if we went swimming. If I took my child swimming, this is what you would see. And so my first tattoo is my Medusa. And how I got her was my friend's husband had posted the portrait of the tattoo, and he's like, hey, I created this tattoo and they just fell off and they are not getting it anymore. Is there anybody else that wants it? Like, I'll let it go for $100. And I was like, oh, yes, 100%. Let's do it. And so I did it, and that wasn't enough. I think everybody that has tattoos know that one tattoo is never enough. And so then you're like, oh, well, now I have this one thigh tattoo. I feel like I need a matching one on my other thigh. So I was trying to go with the same kind of vibe, the same aesthetic. So I just started looking up mythological women that destroy men in different cultures. And behold, I find Kali. And so Kali is a Hindu goddess, and she literally is the goddess of war. She decapitates men, and she wears their skulls as her necklace. And so I thought that was amazing. And it just so happened that my favorite Mortal Kombat character, Shiva, that I pick all the time, she's like the big, scary chick with the one big, long ponytail and the 50 million arms, was based off Kali. So they created Shiva, and they're kind of like one and the same. And so I was like, oh yeah, we're doing that. And then I found that one of my friends called me a succubus. And I didn't even know what that meant. So I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, a female demon. I like it. was the first succubus to exist. And so I got very interested in that story. And so I got Lilith on the back of my thighs. And then I ended up needing something for my other thigh. I couldn't have, mismatched thighs. And I ended up getting a siren, which I like to call siren instead of mermaid. Mermaid sounds a little too cutesy for me. I need it to be, what they really are. And that is mythological sea creatures that sing to lure men to their death. So she's a siren. She's not a mermaid. And these ones are going to be a little harder to show you, especially without showing too much booty, So let me see if I could do it. We're going to find out. I don't know if you can. So that's Lilith. Oh, and this is my siren. And hopefully I don't get banned for that, for doing that little action there. But those are all my thigh tattoos. And then I have He-Kate in my center core on my sternum, because she is the gatekeeper of heaven and hell. So she determines men's fate, not just men's fate, everybody's fate. And so I feel like she's just like the perfect balance of heaven and hell. I can't zip that up because it's a little too tight. Heaven and hell, hellfire and holy water. And so that's why she's in my chakra. And so I do plan and want to add a lot more. I just haven't found any artists that can commit that kind of time, because I want to do a whole back piece on an Aztec goddess that I'm probably completely butchering this name, because it's very hard to say those names. If you know, I believe it's like Tilekai or something like that. But she is the goddess of the earth, but she nourishes the earth with the bloodshed of men. And so I feel like she has to be my back piece. And I don't really want to or plan on doing like full sleeves or anything like that. I have contemplated on getting a chest piece of like maybe Isis or something. I don't know, but I don't know if I want to be that tatted, because I kind of, like I said, I like to be a little mysterious. I like people to think that I look a certain way, but then when they really find out, they're a little shook. I like to shock people. And so if they can physically see my tattoos all the time, then it kind of, takes away from the mysteriousness of my persona and my aura and my aesthetic. One of the things that I did like too is that it's hard because men are so different. They say they like these things, but then they act and, do everything else speaks different. Like the kind of girls that they post or the kind of girls that they like pictures of are completely different on what they say they like. Because some of them are like, oh yeah, I love natural women. I love stretch marks. I love cellulite. I love pupas and all that shit. But then they're out here liking and posting all these like fit girls with fake everything. So, you can't trust them. But it makes me feel good when a man actually kind of points that out and tells me that. And so I have been approached like the 2 times that I can remember very vividly that kind of like meant something to me was this one was a little too aggressive for me though. Because, it's nice, but it was like a red flag at the same time. So I love tall men. I love to break my neck when I have to look at them. And so this very tall, handsome man grabs me. And like, I think I maybe did the chest brush on him. So I was trying to get his attention. And I did it and it worked. And he grabs my arm and he's like, "You are the most beautiful woman that I've ever seen." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. You're so sweet." But then he ruined it and had to say, "I want you to have my children."
What did he say?
Bro, like, we just met. So yes, thank you, but no thank you. Yeah, no. Well, that is literally insane for that to be somebody's pickup line, especially somebody that looks like as good as him. You know, like, I feel like you can be a little more timid about it. Like, yeah, you look good. I'm sure we would make beautiful babies, but that was kind of an extreme. And then I had went out with all my friends, and like all of her friends, you know, had that typical bad bitch look, which is expensive, slinky dresses, the shoes, the extensions, the hair, the nails, the makeup, everything. And I come in with my leather jacket, my short shaved hair, and some jeans. And this guy comes up to me, and I'm thinking he's like wanting me to talk to one of these girls for him. Like, hey, who's that? Tell your girl I said, what's up? No, he takes my hand as I'm walking to the bathroom. He's like, I just want to tell you that you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Like, I seen you walk in with all those girls, and you were the first one that I actually seen, the first one that I looked at, the first one that caught my attention, because I've never seen anybody that looks like you. And so I kind of like looking different and exotic. I like to stand out. I don't like to get lost in a crowd. I don't want to look like everybody else. And it does have a lot to do with my style as well, but I do believe it's how I present myself and how I, you know, walk and that kind of stuff too. Not just the way that I look, but obviously it has a little bit to do with that too. It's kind of what catches people's first attention, first glance, but then when they actually even get to talk to you, then they're like, oh yeah, she is a bad bitch. And so I feel like me being a bad bitch has kind of came based off my accomplishments, on what I have overcame, what I have faced alone. I went through so many hard things on my own as a young girl, like 17. I had friends, but I was afraid. I was scared on how people would perceive me or like look at me because of certain situations. So I kept a lot to myself. I did not confide in anybody, and I got through everything, you know, by myself. When I went through my divorce, obviously I did have to go through a little bit of therapy to get through that one. And even at the incident that happened when I was 17, later, once I was older, once I was married, once I was wanting and ready to start a family, I did have to go back and address that and talk to somebody about that and let that off my chest, and like how much that was a heavy weight lifted. And you know, so you can't hold everything in. It needs to come out. And so I'm glad I was able to do that. And going through my divorce and having a therapist tell me and make me realize like that man is never going to change. It was not you, it's him. And you can do everything and be perfect and do all the right things, say the right things, be the perfect woman, the perfect person, the perfect wife, the perfect mother, but it's on him. He can't accept that. And that will be my last episode, so I don't want to get too much into that either. But just overcoming everything, you know, getting my own house, because I never was alone until after my divorce. I went straight from my parents' house to my aunt's house to living with my husband. I never knew what it was like to be alone. I was afraid to be alone. And so once I got a divorce, I had no choice. I had to learn how to be alone. And even when we were going through our breakups, I still wasn't alone. I had a roommate. I was living with my girl, Allie. Thank God for her for helping me. But once it was 100% done, I had to get my own place. So I ended up buying a condo on my own with my own money, with my own income, with my own job. And it felt good. It felt so good to know that I never needed or depended on this man, that I was 100% capable of taking care of myself and doing things for myself and being there and being able to raise my son on my own. Because I know it's so sad, but that's what mostly keeps women from leaving, is because they financially cannot. They depend on them. They cannot raise a child on their own. It's hard. And so I was proud and happy that I got a good enough job and I was raised the right way by my mother. She instilled that in us. She made us who we are, and she made sure that we were the kind of women that would never need or depend on a man. And I'm so thankful for that, because I would have just lived miserably content for the rest of my life. And that is not a healthy way to live. So just being able to do everything for myself, take care of myself and my son, made me feel amazing and brought my confidence and where I needed to be. And I know it sounds crazy, but for some reason, I really wanted, my goal was to be single longer than what I was in a relationship for. And I was with him for almost 9 years. So in order to be single longer than I was in a relationship, it had to be 10. And guess what? I hit that. I am 10 years single, and I purchased myself an anniversary gift to myself, which is this dope ass black diamond snake ring. And that was part of one of my goals. That was something that was important to me, is to love myself more than I loved anybody else and take care of myself and show that I didn't want or need anybody. And yeah, I have came across a few close calls, but they weren't enough. And that's the thing. I wasn't completely closed off to not wanting to meet anybody. I just didn't try. I didn't put myself out there because I had a goal to accomplish, and it had nothing to do with a man. And it was quite the opposite, actually. And so I'm very proud of myself that I, stuck to my gut instincts and stuck to everything that I knew that I deserved. And I did not settle out of loneliness, because it gets so lonely, especially when I don't have my son. When I have my son, I'm around my family, I'm around my friends, I don't think twice about it. But when I'm like 100% alone and I'm not doing something that I enjoy, like a spa day or hot springs, and I'm like at home watching movies by myself or doing something that you would want to do with somebody else, it gets sad, it gets lonely. And there are a few times that I, would even try to call somebody to fill that void and fill that space, and it just never did. It didn't. Nothing did. And so I had to learn how to enjoy my own company and my own solitude and being comfortable in it. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes, not all the time, like I can be like that. It does get a little heavy, especially when you watch an emotional show or movie with romantic shit, and it brings up all these feelings and these memories, and it makes you weak. Know your own strength, and you really have to learn how to love yourself. And I feel like that's part of being a bad bitch too. That's part of being independent. And so I definitely never planned this. This was not the life that I thought I was gonna have. I always thought I was gonna be the little Betty Crocker, white picket fence, family, wife type person. And that just wasn't a part of my path. It wasn't a part of my journey. It wasn't a part of the plan. And I do trust and believe in a higher power, that we all have our own paths and plans, and we do have control of it to a certain extent. And so it just depends on how you act and react to certain situations that you're put in and how you come out of them. And so what I like to say is that evil queens are just princesses whose hearts were broken too many times, and villains are not born, they're made. And so, yeah, I might be in my evil queen villain era, and I'm okay with that. I have been enjoying it a little. like I said many times, to instill fear in men. It makes me happy. And so I don't want to be saved. I save myself a long time ago. I just want somebody that's gonna respect my power, that's gonna respect everything about me, and that's gonna love me because of it, because of my scars, and not judge me and not, you know, think a certain way of me because of it. I want them to 100% fully accept and love every single part of me. And that's what I have been preaching in like every episode. And the worst thing that I absolutely hate is when people ask me why I'm single. What is a pretty girl like you doing single? Oh, you're too pretty, you're too good, you're too perfect, you're too... Why? That does nothing to do with why I'm single. Because why can't a beautiful woman be single? Why do we have to be tied down to a man? And to me, that's bad bitch energy. Like that, I don't want a man, I don't need a man. And to me, a man's just a, you know, a convenience. He's not a necessity.
A necessity, a man is a luxury, like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not necessity. Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter? Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
He's maybe a want. I don't want him right now, but eventually maybe I will want one. And it's just, I don't understand why happiness has to be defined as being a relationship. And so when people ask me, why am I single? I say, because I like to be, because I want to be, because I love being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. And I have not met anybody that has met my standards. I haven't met anybody worth giving up my independence and my solitude and my freedom for. And until I do, I'm gonna remain single. And so yeah, I have weak moments like I said before, but I peel myself off the pavement. I look at myself in the mirror with tears in my eyes, and I say to myself, you are that bitch. You are gonna be that bitch, and you always and forever have been that bitch. So get your shit together, bitch.
Hey, I'm that bitch. Been that bitch, still that bitch. Who forever be that bitch.
I talk to myself like that. I really do. And then I play my bad bitch playlist. I do have one. And obviously it's mostly like Rihanna and Beyonce, okay? But I have my playlist that brings back my confidence again and reminds me who the fuck I am. And sometimes you need that. It's okay to have a weak moment, but that's all you should allow them to be, is a moment. And I feel like power and control, it should be us getting burnt to the ground, but then rising up from the ashes like the phoenix. Don't forget, I need you guys to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And so I hope you guys been enjoying it so far.